Welcome to NovoEDTalks, where we reveal real-world strategies and expert insights from learning and development professionals. In every episode, we chat with practitioners, course designers, learning strategists, and business leads. We hear about their experiences in the learning industry and predictions for the profession and the trends that they're seeing. But before we get started, a little bit about NovoEd. Founded at Stanford's Social Algorithms Lab in 2012, NovoEd is a people-centric, capability-building platform that combines social and collaborative learning to drive performance readiness at scale. Through cohort-based experiences centered around human interaction, NovoEd taps into collective wisdom, placing each learner at the center of perspective, application, and expertise. Large enterprises such as 3M, GE, Marriott International, and Nestle partner with NovoEd to accelerate their critical initiatives, reconnect teams, and achieve rapid alignment through learning that is felt, experienced, and swiftly transformed into impact. Now, let's meet our guest for today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NovoEDTalks podcast, a space for training trailblazers to get real. My name is Melissa Fisk. I'm the producer of the NovoEDTalks podcast, and today I am joined by Fola Ajisafe, who is the Associate Director of App Development for Learning Technology at Verizon. Fola is a tech and UX innovator and digital transformation leader with 20 plus years of experience driving enterprise technology, UX, and workforce development for a Fortune 500 global organization. He is doctorate level trained in e-business and application development, specializing in researching, designing, and delivering user-centric technology solutions that enhance learning, streamline workforce development operations, and power the future of work. Fola, we are so excited to have you on the NovoEDTalks podcast today. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Melissa, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to, kind of interact with you as well as share some of the insight over, my course of experience working in this space.
Awesome. Well, why don't we jump right in, and why don't you get started by just kind of introducing yourself a little bit more, your role and your company?
Yes, so as earlier stated, my name is Fola Ajisafe. I work for Verizon. I have been with the company for over 2 decades now. Working in different areas of mostly around the learning side of the company. We've done a lot of evolution over the years. We're now kind of strategically placed under HR, learning and careers, just to be very precise. And I lead a team of principal technical and product engineers who focus on building and managing customized learning applications for to support those learning organizations that I did mention. Our primary stakeholders are, our team members that work in the delivery, operations, and design studio teams of our business, and those people are the ones responsible for directly training and delivering, learning solutions to our, over 100,000 plus workforce across the globe.
Wow, that's incredible. Could you talk a little bit more about who these folks are? And 100,000, that's incredible. But yeah, talk a little bit more about the learners that kind of you oversee and some of the challenges that they face.
Yes, so while I don't directly oversee learners, like I did mention, my team is learning technology, specifically in the new learning technology space. So I report up to my leader that oversees the emerging technology, learning technology in Verizon. We do deliver technology solutions, things around our trainers and our design studio teams. When I talk about design studio teams, I mean instructional designers as well as training operations folks, how they either manage their schedule, the tools that they use to manage rosters when they deliver training in classes, also teams, project management tools that our stakeholders across the business use to request training to be designed for their specific organizations. So those are the kind of people that I manage, and these are well established professionals in the trade. They do application development, they do product management on the technical space, as well as technical project management.
Wow, that's incredible.
And one other thing to just we had this passed across the US. I also have direct reports in the Philippines as well.
Wow. Wow. So you've got people all over doing lots of
Yes,
very intense technical things.
yes,
That's incredible. And it sounds like making some really customized like learning programs.
yes.
What would you say some of the biggest workforce development challenges are that you face and how do you approach them?
Well, I think the biggest one, obviously, the art of what we do is, behind the scene. And, it is absolutely essential for us to engage with our stakeholders to ensure that, we understand what the pain points are or the gaps that they are trying to fill and look for solutions, technological solutions that can help them, solve that gap. Most of the time, the challenges are span from, when we sometimes don't come in, that get invited early. And
Mm.
it is sometimes having to, retroactively try to find a solution to something that is already uh, ongoing rather than when we are brought to the table early in the discussion. But we have been able to overcome that over the past few years. There has been a significant improvement in our terms of engagement with our stakeholders, and that has resulted in much more long-term solutions for the things that matters most to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always tough when it's like, hey, this problem
Yeah,
is already going on here
yeah.
and you're bringing us in a little late. Um, as you know, the skill sets needed for success continue to shift, especially in this space. What strategies do you and your team use to ensure that everyone kind of remains adaptable and prepared?
Well, I think the most important one is making sure that the skills that we, encourage our folks to gather, they are future-proof because, as you know, with the changing landscape of not just learning, everything is going digital, everything is going, AI these days. So we try as much as possible to ensure that we are at the forefront of it and not playing catch up. Obviously, it comes with that the challenges of governance and making sure that we still continue to protect, the company's information, which is absolutely very essential. But at the same time, we also need to be futuristic in the way we approach our skills gap. And then also just making sure that we provide more personal learning and skills for our employees so that they are doing what they are passionate about, and we meet them at their own point of need rather than imposing learning on them. And then lastly, I would like to talk about the agility at which we have to be responsive to the needs of the business. I think that is absolutely important. There are instances where we have to rely on external partners to provide solutions for us, whether on the technology space or even on the content space. But for the most part, when we develop internally, we have complete control over that. We are able to immediately, jump in and address things as they evolve. Whereas we're having to depend on external vendors, sometimes we need to rely on their backlog or the pace of which they are working, because we are not the only customers or clients that they are relating with. So that takes a little bit much more of patience than what we would normally do internally for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned there that, you want to make sure that you're monitoring skills gaps and meeting
Mhm.
folks like where they're at and what they need. How do you kind of, assess that and address that when they come up? Like, how do you pinpoint when and where that is?
Well, regular check-ins, that's absolutely very important, right? We need to ensure that we are evolving our skills to meet the needs of the modern times. So we do make sure we do a lot of check-ins to ensure that is in place. We do data analytics to see what's working, what's not working. And then finally, feedback. That's absolutely very important in the sense that, it's not just about, asking people to do stuff. We also listen a lot. We do what we call pulse survey regularly. And then during even our curriculums, when people go through training, they have the opportunity to provide feedback on how the content is, whether it was engaging, whether the delivery was paced properly, and if they're actually learning anything from that. So those are three key areas that we try to keep our an eye on to ensure that if there are gaps, we are immediately on top of it.
Awesome. And do you have any kind of core KPIs that you use to measure the effectiveness of your programs?
Yes. So, like I kind of alluded to earlier on, we do a lot of learning engagement metrics. We do the level 1 through level 6 for most of our major programs. But at the very least, all of the programs have level 1, level 2, and 3, and then we go up as needed depending on the complexity of the program or how business essential it is. Also making sure that we do knowledge retention and application assessments, as we go through our programs. It's absolutely important for us, especially on the learning technology side. We want to make sure adoption rate, we want to make sure satisfaction rate, making sure that the solutions or technology that we deploy or tools that we make available, they are meeting the needs of our stakeholders as well as the end users that are going to be leveraging this technology. So we do a lot of check-ins, just to ensure that we're getting those data and we're not analyzing it, and then where we need to intervene, we do that very, very regularly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, where you sit with your position, the adoption rate of these technologies is going to be extremely, probably one of the most important KPIs that you're
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
Do you have, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to add to it that again, return on investment. So ROI, making sure, I mean, even though some of these solutions are either, external, meaning vendor SaaS products or internally developed. So when we do our view and buy strategy, we decide what is the ROI, and then we measure that to make sure at the end of the program whether we are indeed, on a net positive or net negative on that.
Yeah. And do you have a successful kind of case study or an example of an initiative that has like kind of significantly impacted the employee performance and contributed to the overall success of the company?
Yes. So part of the work that my team does, we call, I mean, but maybe in the industry it might be known as microsite, but internally we call them digital ops. So we have created, more specifically my team, obviously in collaboration with the business and some HR functions, we have created several digital learning ops that are targeted towards specific programs or initiatives that are not necessarily formal training. So I'll give you an example. We have several leadership training just on soft skills. We have pre-leader training that is targeted towards individual contributors that are hoping or aspiring to be, managers or leaders in the future. And we also have programs specific to ERGs. Could be things around uh, specific segment of the work group, and we create digital learning, digital ops for those programs. The essence of those digital ops is to bring together all forms of learning, ranging from formal, informal things, activities that are targeted towards improving soft skills or improving just team building and all of those. And we create those ops to bring all of those things together in one place, which is totally different from what we would normally put in our learning management system. And what we have seen is that the engagement with those learning ops, digital ops, have skyrocketed a lot over the years because of the type of interactivity that we add to those ops. And that has resulted in more, engaged leaders, depending on what program it is. They have the information at the very, stick of their hand. They are also able to go back to that orb and just refresh their memories on things that they have learned as part of the program that they were part of. So what we've seen is that people are more accountable to the things that they promise to do because they have a way to track their progress throughout the program. So that has been one of the things that we've done in recent times that have elevated our workforce
That's awesome.
across board.
Yeah, that's awesome. My next question is about technology, and obviously technology is, what you do.
Yes.
But I guess I would kind of adapt this question specifically for you, where, it sounds like you have a lot of custom tech developments, but then you also work with vendors. It sounds like,
Yes.
how do you balance kind of that relationship and obviously you're looking at those like adoption rates, but how do you kind of balance all of that, like creating custom solutions, using vendors, and then, monitoring engagement rates? What is that like for you?
Yeah, so we're very intentional about our build versus buy strategy. There are times when it does make sense for us to go outside because there are already established players in that specific area that we are trying to solve for. That is what they do, and so they have a lot of experience. They have a platform that supports that it doesn't make sense for us to pull resources together internally to build those things. So in those such cases, we go through extensive, sourcing, and what we call risk assessment to make sure that these companies are a good fit for what we are looking for, both in terms of the tools that they have, as well as the integrity of their organization. So we do that on one part, and we still do ROI to make sure that our investment is what it, and then we do sometimes long-term contracts, sometimes we do short-term just to ensure that we are able to exit when necessary. At the same time, depending on how large the initiative is, we may decide to build it inside. If it's something that we don't need all of the most of the time when we look at vendor or SaaS products, where there are some things that we typically don't want or we don't need, and so those things are just kind of overwhelming. And so we just look at, okay, this solution, can we do it, and can we do it cost effectively? Can we do it in time, on time? And that's how we make some of our build decisions in-house. So the balance is always, looking at, what works best for the moment in need. And we assess that, we make a decision, we pull the resources together, and we make it happen. So that has been kind of how our approach is to balancing those build versus buy decisions.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what a great ability to be able to do that. So many organizations
Mhm.
are stuck with just kind of like using, like going with vendors and being like, oh, we
Yeah,
don't need all of this, but we do need this, so we have to go with them for the sake of doing this. So
yeah.
that's really beautiful. But again, I'm sure puts a lot of pressure on you to make
Mhm.
very intentional decisions and make sure
Yeah.
that you're looking
Yeah,
at that.
yeah, and data is always important, right? So, the analytics that we get from these platforms helps us to make even more better decisions in future.
Awesome. Now, you've been at kind of in these types of roles and at this organization for 20 plus years, which is
Yes.
incredible. What would you say some of the key takeaways are from the past 5 years in terms of how learning and development and mentorship and workforce development in general have kind of developed?
Yes, so the evolution has been sometimes flat, sometimes it's been very steep, sometimes it's been very brutal. With all of the things happening, in the last few years, COVID, for example, extremely changed the way we do business. From on the learning space, we used to do a lot of face-to-face training. We had to evolve quickly to leverage our technology, to still continue to deliver the best-in-class training for our workforce. And then, the fact that now in recent times, AI has been front and center of everything that comes across the landscape. We are very, very quick to review and fine tune and adopt AI where we need to. We do AI with intention. We don't just run with the bandwagon. We are very intentional with the way we apply and deploy AI to our learning space. And then one other thing that is also critical is ensure we continue to personalize our learning to our workforce, making sure that they're not just it's not just one size fits all. There are times when we need to pivot to making sure that we meet specific segment of our learning community with the way they learn and the way they want to consume our content. And then making sure that we have micro learning and on-demand learning as well, which is not always easy to bring everybody to bring people out of their day-to-day job and do training for them. So we try to, when necessary, to just have on-demand access to learning content. So that's another way we've evolved over the years. And then, like I did mention, everything that we do, we measure to make sure that number one, are we meeting the target or the goal that we set before we roll out a program. Two, is there anything we can do better? And then three, what's the data telling us in terms of what the future hold for that particular initiative. Is it something that we need to sunset and look elsewhere or not? So those are kind of the things that have evolved over the years, at least that I have been very fortunate to be part of over the last 2 decades.
That's awesome. And, how do you kind of on the flip side of that, like, how do you look ahead for the next 5 years? And are there certain things that you're doing, especially, in your department to kind of like prepare or, ensure that the tech that you're going to bring on and utilize is going to last for 5 years? I know you mentioned like you're very intentional with AI, for
Yes,
example.
yes. So that speaks itself, tells us also, we cannot do without AI.
Yeah.
That's I think this interview, this podcast that we're having today. I mean, I wonder tomorrow, it's going to have some element of AI. Just kind
Yeah.
of it is where the space is going, and it's a matter of don't get left behind.
Mhm.
So Verizon is not going to be left behind because we are actually at the forefront of it. We making sure that we do what we have to do, but at the same time there is that element of governance because we need to make sure that we continue to protect our assets and our content, so it's not something that is um, debatable or in any fact. And then the other part of doing more of the social learning, people are on social media these days, TikTok, Instagram, and all of those. Peop How do we get learning to people where they are or what they're already used to, how they are already used to consuming content? Does that mean that we'll start putting our training on the social media platform? Absolutely not. But what we can do is that we can leverage some of the experiences that people have using those platforms and produce training in such a way that it's easily digestible.
Right.
It is just in time, and it is at the moment. So imagine a situation whereby you as a technician working in the field, you don't have to leave your work behind to attend training. You can actually, while you are on the job, have access to bite-sized training content that helps you do your job even better, and the level of cognitive load that you have is totally managed and minimized, such that you can focus on learning and at the same time doing what you do best every day. And that's how and why Verizon continues to be the number one in our space, without any without doubt. We have a very strong workforce. We are very global, so we also make sure that we adapt our learning to to the global workforce. We actually recently did kind of a transformational approach to how we deploy our training across the globe just a few months back, and it has worked extremely very well for us. And we have a very, 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 very satisfied workforce.
That's incredible. I love what you said there. I think there's something that's really important, what you said and all of that, that could be a great takeaway, which is that, like, are you putting training programs on TikTok and Instagram Reels? Like, no, but you're taking like the psychology behind like
Yes.
why it is that humans are, so why we're so addicted to it, why we're on
Yeah.
it and why that can hold our attention, and applying those principles in how you deliver that, which is
Yeah.
so important. And sometimes like missed, it's kind of a simple thing, but I think sometimes we could have missed that, like what is the human element of it that is capturing us, and like how do we kind of adapt that to what we're doing, not just replicate it because it won't work that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Fola, to close on a positive note, what would you say the most important lesson is that you've learned as a leader that you would pass on to someone else just starting out on their journey?
Learn and grow together, right? So nobody is, custodian of knowledge by themselves. I learn every day. My team is incredible. They are professionals in what they do. Apologies. They are professionals in what they do, and they do it absolutely and essentially well. So, my job is to ensure that I try to remove roadblocks where possible and allow them to thrive in their areas of expertise. So, I think I'm a continuous learner. I do that all the time. I am very inquisitive as well in terms of, why is something not working? What can we do? What can we do better? And so all of those things are things that I do regularly on to ensure that I'm always at the top of my game. So what I will advise for the future me is, to not stop there, to continue to learn, to continue to engage, and to continue to be, available to the team that I support and ensure that, the needs of the stakeholder as well as the need of the business, there's always that line of getting, sometimes there is a disparity between what, the end users or the people that the stakeholders need versus the business needs. So our job is to ensure that we bring that alignment together. And how do we do that? Stay close to the business, stay close to the stakeholders, learn more about their needs, and try to provide something that works for everybody.
That's great. What a great note to end on, Fola. Thank you so much for joining us on the NovoEDTalks podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on here. You're obviously, a leader in this space, so I'm sure our listeners are going to gain a lot from this episode. So thank you so much.
Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for inviting me. Absolutely, opportunities like these, I definitely think, like, I've listened to some of the other podcasts that you have done. I've learned a lot. What can I do also from some of those takeaways? I have been, ruminating on where I can bring some of those learnings to the work that I do, and I'm hoping that people that are going to listen to this podcast of mine will also take one or two things away that they can implement either in their organization or in their personal life.
Absolutely. I'm sure they will. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in once again to NovoEDTalks.